Hello everyone and welcome to week number 7. I promise this will be a very quick video because if you've looked at the assignments for this week, you know you don't have a whole lot of reading. You're reading the final chapter in the textbook and kind of taking a look at how we kind of button up all these different theories in this coverage of about 150 years of organization theory literature. The primary takeaway, as we have been emphasizing every single week, is that the organization theory literature has gone through a development. And as it's gone through this development, the primary goal of this development has been to move away from the one-size-fits-all approach and move more toward a recognition of the contextual nature of running organizations. There no longer is a one-size-fits-all approach. Now the approach is much more situational in nature. We're not looking for the best approach or the best theory like the classical theorists. Now we are looking for the most appropriate theory. And so hopefully as you finish up this course and you finish up working on your critical assignment, you are able to accurately and appropriately apply some of these theories to that task force that you are creating. Again, not looking for the best answer, but rather looking for the most appropriate answer. In this week 7, you've got a couple of fun things. There are a couple of links here to study group Jeopardy. There's a round 1 and a round 2, so that's just for fun to go and play some Jeopardy and organization theory. You also have a video on here that introduces you to Prezi in terms of a program you can use to create videos if you haven't used Prezi before. It's a pretty easy type of program to use, and so this is a step-by-step tutorial. If you would like to use Prezi for your discussion board this week, you're not required to, but if you like to, it's available for you. Then we have a video on techniques for professional videos, kind of what to do in creating a professional video. And then you've got another video on here, what not to do in creating a professional video. So just some extra tools there to then help you deal with what you'll be doing in your week 7 discussion board. So in this week 7 discussion board, you're going to be taking a draft of that critical assignment that you have prepared, and you will put together a 3 to 5 minute overview of your proposed task force. And there'll be an overview that you will assume that you're going to be giving to elected officials of the lead agency. So you're advocating for the creation of this task force. So this is a 3 to 5 minute overview of that task force, what it's all about, why it needs to be created, that would be provided hypothetically to the elected officials who will be making the final decision about whether or not to approve and fund this task force that you are advocating. This is a video presentation, not a voiceover PowerPoint. So that's the reason why we give you the Prezi video, so that you can learn how to make a video using that. You can use Zoom. I'm fine with Zoom as well. So if you've used Zoom before, which you have in this class, you can go ahead and use Zoom, but it will be a video. In this video presentation, you will provide a brief summary of the task force while weaving in theories to defend your ideas. Although it's unlikely a presentation of elected officials will include theory, we'll use the opportunity to combine the skills of presenting to elected officials with the further development of theory. To create the video, again, you can use Zoom, you can use Prezi, you can use whatever you are familiar with, Screencast-O-Matic, in order to create your video. When you make this video, again, it's a very short 3 to 5 minute video. But one thing to remember is when you start your video, you'll need to start your video by greeting the elected officials. And so when you greet the elected officials in your introduction, in your video, you usually like to greet the highest ranking elected official first. And so it would be Mr. or Madam Chairperson, or Mr. or Madam President, or whatever their title happens to be. And then after you address the leading elected official, then you would address the rest of the elected body. So it would be members of the board, members of the city council. Then you also want to address the highest ranking administrator or executive. So if it's city council, you would address the city manager. If it's a school board, you would address the superintendent. And so typically it's elected officials first, and then administrator second in your introduction. Then don't forget to introduce yourself and in one sentence explain why you are there. The entire opening then should be less than about 15 to 20 seconds. Usually some elected officials listen to the opening, some don't, but it's really considered to be bad form if you don't at least address the elected officials in your introduction. And I provide for you a little example of what that introduction could sound like. After your introduction, you record the video from an appropriate location. Ensure you're dressed appropriately, sitting professionally, and speaking clearly. Do not read the presentation. You should know the material well enough to be able to discuss it without the use of notes. Check your microphone, camera angle, and lighting to ensure the best possible presentation to your elected officials. You'll be providing a brief summary of each section of your paper. Be sure to include theory and applications. Then after you prepare this video and you upload this video into our discussion board, then as always, you will then be providing responses to at least 2 of your classmates. So that is your video presentation of your task force that you would like to create that you'll then be posting into discussion board for this week. Later on here, we then have the sneak peek of the critical assignment. You've already, I'm sure, looked at this because this is week 7, so you've already been working on it, and you probably have a pretty good draft already created for your critical assignment. So I think by now you already know what's included in the critical assignment, but you'll be including sections such as introduction and background of the organization structure and design, organization leadership and culture, organization system and quality management, and a summary. And that's this critical assignment you'll be turning in next week. But again, for this week, it'll be putting together this 3 to 5 minute video on the creation of this task force that you are advocating in your critical assignment, and making it so that it will be appealing to the elected officials who will ultimately be responsible for approving your task force and hopefully appropriating some money to your task force so your task force can operate. So that's your primary assignment for this week. Again, any questions, feel free to reach out and contact me, but I do look forward to watching your videos. Have a great week.